Hello everybody, we're going to be talking today about this lady called Anne Lister.
Anne Lister is a force of nature. She is a businesswoman, a diarist, entrepreneur, a traveller, and as we join her in this season, has a wife. How are you?
It's quite incredible. It's been on a television series. It was called, hang on, I have to find what it's called. It's, Gentleman Jack. So, basically, it's about a woman who is a lesbian. This was in the late 1700s she was born.
Just a very gifted human being, and that combined with the fact that she was this prolific diarist and she was unashamedly gay and negotiated her way around polite society with people kind of knowing that about her makes her extraordinary.
You should be more careful, Gentleman Jack.
What's beautiful about season 2 is it looks very carefully at a marriage, a same-sex marriage, and the societal influences and the dangers that brings up.
She had blue blood. She was, I can't say the word, do you know which one I mean? I can't say it, anyway, you know what I mean. She was one of those, blue blood. She had loads of money. She was very, very intelligent woman, supposedly, you know, running not just this hall where she lived. She had other properties, so she had tenants, so forth like that. She travelled a lot, went up mountains. She worked on the land more like a man, because obviously she was the man in the bit. And she planted trees, all this kind of stuff. She they say that she stayed in Paris for a while, and when she was in Paris she did some autopsies and things like that. Let's put the little video on. You know, people would get her bits of dead people and then she'd want to know how they worked. So this woman was very, very intelligent, and she found a girlfriend.
We are the only people who want us to be together.
Turning the diary into drama is a whole drama in itself, because it's quite a random diary. And reading something in code is always interesting, because you really don't know what's coming next. It has the randomness of real life.
But it didn't work because that person got married, and then she met someone else and married her, but it wasn't legally binding.
And hope that we shall get on well together.
But it's really strange, because in the internet it says that she wasn't in love with the second woman. She wasn't in love with her. Her name was Anne, like her, but she wasn't in love with her like she was in love with the first one. And this is why she put black clothes on. Oh, it's going round and round. Let's see what's going on. These diaries, and they were hidden. So that's the person who plays her. Yeah, she plays Gentleman Jack. That is Anne Lister, or supposed to be a picture of her. Yeah, so basically it says on the internet, which we'll see in a moment, that it took the other woman 2 years to realise that she wasn't in love with her. But the BBC, she's in love with her, the second one, the wife. But marrying this woman, when they made their wills, they had a lot of money together, and she spent a lot of time making lots more money. That's where she lived. Yeah, that's the hall she lived in. That is supposed to be a picture of her, whether it is or isn't. I don't know. Also, in the relationship, she didn't like to be touched. She liked to do the touching. She didn't want to be touched because she was still a woman, and that would annoy her. She wanted to be a man. But it's very interesting. She was born in the late 1700s. She wasn't very old. Her travel trips, a fly bit her, and 6 weeks later she's dead. That's what the internet says. So there you go. She was an entrepreneur, landowner. She kept had her diaries, and she wrote them in code. And so someone's broken the code. But of course there, if she fancied someone or liked doing things, she'd write it in code so that no one else knew what she'd written. But she was very, you know, even in the programme, she seems very sexual. So there we go. She was dubbed the first modern lesbian. But in the TV programme on the BBC, it's all about being in love and everything. So you're not supposed to notice that, but you're supposed to notice the being in love. Kissing, touching the knees, playing nonsense. Acted like a man, looked a bit like a woman, but acted like a man, but with a woman's sense of humour and talk, I suppose. Says, why did she wear black? That's it, Marina Loughton. That's who she was in love with. That's because she was mourning her, so they say. She was her intellectual partner. They got on really well intellectually. The wife, supposedly she couldn't handle the fact that, so she's doing things like climbing mountains, sorting out all the people that live in the estates, mining, farming, all this, and her partner was like, shall I wear a green skirt or a red skirt today? And now I'm upset because I don't know which skirt to wear. So this person had a very nervous disposition and was always upset. And I think it must have annoyed her. That's if that's true, because the BBC, Gentleman Jack, is all to show how they live together, same-sex marriage. And that's quite ironic, because obviously the programme is a couple of years old. But they did this knowing the transgender thing that they were going to put on us. But at least she was a real person. She just got on with her life. Also, the programme is called Gentleman Jack, but Jack is slang word for dyke. That's what it says. So the child was later still to his wife. The estate passed to Anne and Elizabeth. Anne Walker, that's her name, that's the wife. And Anne Lister had a relationship in 1832, but she died 8 years later. She was only herself. So when she met her, she was about 40, and she died at 49. That's a bit sad, really. Anyway, we're moving on in a second. Just bits on the internet, which was totally different to the BBC film they've made of her. Crazy that, or what? I'm just looking up a few things on here because I wanted to know. It just intrigued me a little bit. Because they've obviously made a programme about someone who was real. So there you go. Oh, Jack was slang for dyke. Yeah, Jack. Yeah, the Jack was the dyke. Nice, isn't it? But I kind of liked the character. I quite liked it, to be honest. It was different. I wasn't expecting to see it. So I watched quite a lot of it in the last few days. The hall is still there, but the council owns it. Whoop-de-doo. Halifax is where she's from. Buried up there. That was just interesting. Sorry about the little things going round and round, but I've put it, because I taped it on my computer and put it on YouTube so I could retape it, but it put it live. It was viral, so everybody watched it, but I'm now making it into a video. There you go. She died in 1840, aged 49, and it says there she was just about to go into... she was in the mountains going to Persia or wherever it was, or even the Middle East, and then she got stung, and then 6 weeks later she died there. You never know what the truth is, do you? Whether that's the truth or not the truth. I think I'll look up a few more things about her. But at least she was, I suppose, a real person. And Anne Walker was 29. I mean, that is quite a big difference in age, isn't it? So that would have shown itself probably 30-something when she died. It says that Anne Walker is the one that was in love with Anne Lister. But they're suggesting that Anne Walker stayed on her own when Anne Lister died. She never married a man or never went with anybody else. That's what it says. But she was looked after, I think. But there you go. So it says, let's say there's a problem in the marriage beginning. Anne Walker, 2 years to And she realised then that Anne Lister was not in love with her. Obviously, she was looking for a rich woman because she was rich. That's a bit sad. That's what the internet's saying. But the BBC's programme is different. You can find stories about her. Everybody was interested in her at the time. Not her sexual way, but she was such an intelligent woman. She was very intellectual, and so she could keep up with men and they didn't seem to beat her. You know, she acted like a man and treated them the same. So, yeah, that's quite amazing, isn't it? I don't think she overly liked men that much in the programme. She says they're stupid men, and to her they just annoy her men. Here it talks about going to Paris and learning to sort of, not necessarily be a doctor, but she was learning stuff. So she was just seemed a very clever woman before her time, really. I mean, you can stop this and look at it if you want to read it. And then what it was is the journals, she had stuffed them somewhere. And then when the place was being decorated, say 50, 60 years later or something, or whatever, they found the diaries, and then obviously she had... Well, someone broke her code, and then the diaries that she'd written then were all explained, and all her secrets, sexual secrets and things, deciphered them. But I quite like her character. The person that's playing her. And that was strange, because obviously I watched a few things about them talking about the parts. So neither one of them, Anne Lister and Anne Walker, the women that were playing those parts, are heterosexual. But I thought they did quite well in the BBC programme about it all. It's not very often you see a woman more as a man. We are seeing many men as women. You see much less the other way round. I think that's the bit that probably just intrigued me, because, like I said, you've got Jerry Springer. I made those videos about the fact that men didn't like it when they found out their girlfriend was a man. We've watched loads of those. You can see them over and over again, but you don't often see much of a life with women playing, one's a man, one's a woman, and that. I don't know, it's just interesting. It was just different. Obviously the BBC programme's made quite well. The dresses, you know, like the coat she's wearing, the whole thing, it's all done very well. I haven't looked to see if they're composites, but it's, you know, I was just watching it in bed and the television was over there, and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I just want the story for this one. Yeah. Did any of you see it? Were any of you interested in this at all? For me, it started, and that's the other thing, right? They said they make this in lockdown. They're kissing each other. If they made it in lockdown, they should have had masks on. So it probably tells you that it is composite. Because how would they be able to kiss each other if everywhere else, you know, they wouldn't get insurance for filming because they're not wearing masks. You know, it brings up this whole thing. But they said that they made this programme when we were locked down. Isn't that incredible? With no masks. Anyway, what's your thoughts to all this? Did anybody watch the programme? Anyway, thanks for watching. What's your thoughts?